To start off, it might help to have a ruler. We're going to make 3 straight lines across our page. Try to make them around the same length. If you have a ruler, you can measure out the inches. Once we have our 3 straight lines, we're going to make kind of a rectangle shape, but we're going to angle our lines in and then make a straight but kind of like curved bottom. So I'm just gonna make these simple shapes, and then I'm gonna go in later and figure out exactly like the shape I want. My first cupcake, I'm going to make kind of like a pile of frosting on top. So I'm gonna make a bunch of curvy lines with a little pointed tip. The second cupcake, I'm gonna have the cupcake curved, kind of like with frosting on top, and then put a bunch of jimmies on top of that. So I'm just gonna make a curved type of shape, like a rainbow type shape. The last one, I'm gonna have the cupcake with a bunch of pile of whipped cream. So I'm gonna make a wavy line and then continue the wavy line, almost like a cloud shape, and then put a cherry on top. I'm gonna have the cherry go behind, so I'm not gonna draw a full circle so it looks like it's being overlapped. Now you'll notice Mrs. George is going to go through and kind of change the shape of the bottom of the cupcakes to make them look a little bit more like regular cupcakes. So you can take your pencil, erase, change things up, the shapes that you want whenever you have a chance. I'm now going to draw my jimmies on top. Again, you can make whatever kind of sprinkles you want, or if you want to make decorative designs, it does not need to be exactly the same as Mrs. George's. Be creative as you want. I'm also going in and just changing a little bit of my shapes, giving a little bit more texture to the frosting and things like that. So you can add in, I kind of want my cupcake to peek through the bottom here. So we noticed in Wayne Thiebaud's artwork that he often has a line splitting up, like where the desserts are sitting versus the background. So if you take your ruler or a straight edge and just draw a line straight across to break up your page into 2. He also uses a lot of shadows, so we're going to do some curved, like flat type of lines to look like the cupcakes are sitting on the table and casting a shadow. The lines can go up and then swerve down to hit the bottom of the cupcake. I'm going to use a Sharpie to then trace over all my pencil lines. Sharpies are best for things not to smear when you're coloring in later. If you don't have a Sharpie, a regular black marker should work just fine. I am going to go over everything with Sharpie. I'm even going to add in some lines and extra details for the cupcake wrappers. However, I am not going to trace my shadow lines. I am not going to trace my shadow lines. Everything else can be traced with the marker. going to erase my pencil marks that I do not need anymore, except for the shadows. I will leave my shadow lines there until I'm going to color them later with crayon. For my first cupcake, I'm going to color the frosting in like purpley pink. I'm going to choose two colors that are similar so I can trace around the edge with my darker color and then color the lighter color below, so it looks more like a shadow and a little more realistic. I am using crayons for this, so I like to have a nice 24 pack so I get lots of color options. As you can see, I'm just going around my edges, and then I'm going to use my second color to go in. That's a little bit later. This will make it look like it has a little bit more realistic look and shadow. You can color whatever types of colors you'd like to do. I'm going to probably proceed and make a chocolate frosted cupcake with rainbow jimmies and a whipped cream and cherry topped cupcake for the last. So continue to color, and then the 3 cupcakes, and then I'll talk about how we do the shadow and the bottom in a little bit. Now that I'm finishing up my cupcake wrappers, I am going to work on my bottom. I'm going to take 2 colors that are similar, one dark and one light. I'm taking dark green, whatever my darker color is, I'm going to color in the shadow. I'm just going to do it real lightly because I'm going to overlap the light green later on, so it looks like this kind of all blending together. So I take my darker color and then I'm going to put my lighter color on top afterwards. So coloring the shadows light. Now I'm going to overlap with the lime green, going right on top of that shadow and mixing it in. I'm going to continue to do this and color in the whole rest of the bottom. Because Mrs. George is Mrs. George, I'm going to go in and add a little bit more green dark shadow and kind of just give a little bit more value to those edges of the cupcake. The background, I'm going to use a ruler and just make some stripes down either side of the ruler width, so I have a striped background, which is pretty simple. You can do whatever type of background you like. Have fun!